Jungkook was sitting in his living room when one of his men came to him and told him, "Boss, I told you about the CEO of Shinhwa Group. He's constantly telling that he wants to meet you." "Did he come today too?" he asked, eyes on his cell phone. "What does he even want?" he added. "We asked him many times, but he is saying he needs your help with something, and he will only tell that to you." With a sigh, he kept the phone on the table, then looking at the man, he said, "CEO of Shinhwa Group." He narrowed his eyes, recalling the information. "Boss, I think you should help him. He can be of your use." "You're right." He nodded his head, giving it a thought. "Let him in." The man bowed his head and left. Jungkook was sitting in the sofa with his one leg on the other, giving the powerful vibe that he had, when a man in his mid-40s came to him. Standing in front of Jungkook, he said in excitement, "I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. Thanks a lot." He offered a handshake to Jungkook. He stood up from the sofa, shaking hands with Mr. Park. He said, "I had to meet you. Your dedication for having a meeting with me was quite impressive." Mr. Park smiled nervously. Jungkook sat back on the sofa. "Have a seat," he said, pointing his head to the sofa opposite to him. Jungkook didn't want to waste any time. Like always, he wanted to get to the point when he spoke. "So, you want my help with something?" Mr. Park moved a little closer to Jungkook, roaming his head around to make sure no one was listening. He said in a hushed voice, "I want someone to kill my niece." Jungkook frowned his brows, then he chuckled, saying, "What do you think I am, an assassin?" "No, I know you're not. I'm just afraid to get caught," he stammered. "And I know that you have some great soldiers that are mastered in doing the crime smoothly without getting caught." "Oh, so you want one of my men to do this for you?" "Yes, exactly. I promise I'll be really thankful, and I'm ready to trade anything." He nodded his head slightly, giving it a thought. "But why would you want to kill your niece?" he questioned. "What do I tell you? Before dying, my father gave most of his property to my elder brother, and when he died, he left it for his daughter." Sighing an exasperated sigh, he said, "He didn't give me anything. His daughter have the highest shares in the company. I'm just managing the company and working like a servant for his daughter now." He mocked. So sad. He didn't care about his little story, but he was ready to help him for his own profit. With an evil look on his face, he said, "But if she dies, I will get her property because she has no one besides me." He took out a picture from his pocket and put it on the table with a page that seemed to have someone's information on it. "She is my niece." Jungkook looked at the picture. It was upside down from his angle, but he wanted to look at it after his gaze fell on it. So he picked it up. As his gaze fell on the picture, he gazed it for a while. He felt something in his heart. Seeing your features, the smile, he couldn't take his eyes off. Your beauty stunned him for a moment. Then he picked up the page and read your name. "Why would you want to kill her, Mr. Park?" "I just said, give her to me," he commanded. Mr. Park, "What?" He was shocked. "Jungkook, do I have to repeat myself?" he said, looking at him sharply. "No, I got it, but you know You want her property, right?" Cutting him off, he asked. Mr. Park, "Yes, Jungkook, I'll give you twice as much as her property." He moved closer to him, looking at him fiercely, he said, "And in return, I want her." Mr. Park smiled nervously. He got really happy and greedy. "Really? Any doubt?" "Of course not. Who would doubt your word?" He kept smiling nervously. "So you want me to bring her here?" "Does she live with you?" "Yes." "Then you go to some trip, leave her alone in the house, I'll get her." "Whatever you like. It seems like you really liked her." He chuckled nervously. Jungkook smirked as he glanced at your picture. Time skip. You were sitting in your room writing assignments when you checked your phone to see the time. 11:30 already, you guessed. "How long have I been writing?" You stretched your body standing up from the sofa. Then you went out of your room and gazed downstairs at the lonely, huge house. You breathed a long, deep sigh and then went downstairs. Few moments later, you baked a cake with your name written on it. Looking at it, you smiled as you spoke, "Happy birthday, Ryan." Then you went to your room with the cake when your phone rang. Your friends wished you birthday. You talked to them for a while on video call whilst cutting the cake. Due to assignments burden, you couldn't go out to celebrate your birthday, and so you guys were celebrating on the video call. You woke up by the knocking on your door. Rolling your body, you rubbed your eyes and glanced at the door. "Who's knocking on the door?" you mumbled to yourself. You were really sleepy when you got up and opened the door. A man in black was standing in front of you. You frowned in surprise. "Wait, who are you? How did you get into my house?" "Are you Miss Ryan?" "I am," you said, still perplexed. "You have to come with me." "What? Why? Who are you?" "I'm just told to bring you. I'm not obligated to answer any of your questions." "Ryan, what?" "Man, are you coming with me?" The man looked decent and professional, but you were still scared because he was there in your house telling you to go with him in a tone that sounded more like an order. "Why would I come with you? What are you even saying?" "I was told to be respectful with you, but if you deny to come with me, then I have to do it. I'm sorry." Before you could say anything, he pressed his handkerchief on your mouth that had chloroform on it. Your eyes widened and then you blacked out. Time skip. You opened your eyes and found yourself in a strange, luxurious room lying on the bed. You got up and sat there. There were many questions in your mind. You were confused what happened with you, who told that man to bring you here, and why. The questions in your mind were unanswered because there was no one who would you ask. But looking at the whole situation, you guessed whoever did that show was powerful. You were lost in your thought when the door opened. A man in black entered looking at you. You lifted your head to look at him. He was young, couldn't be over 28. He had piercings that made him look 10 times hotter. You were dazed looking at him when he sat beside you. You looked prettier in person. He sat staring at you. "Who are you? What am I doing here? What is?" he said, making you stop talking. You were puzzled yet scared at what was happening there in your life. "I know you have many questions, and to be honest, I'm too lazy to answer each one of them," he said. "So I'm gonna tell you the bottom line. You're going to live here from now onward. This is your house, and I'm your man." My what?" you shouted. You illegally kidnapped me and now you think you own me? What do you think you're doing?" "I do own you," he said, moving his face closer to yours. "Your uncle sold you to me for money." Listening to that, you froze for a moment as if your mind stopped functioning. You knew your uncle and aunt didn't really care about you, but you thought, how could they sell you for money? You're lying. There is no way this is true. He smirked, gazing at you. "I'm not lying and I can prove." You frowned. He unlocked his phone and played a video to show you. It was a conversation between him and your uncle. As you watched the whole video, tears started rolling down your cheeks unchecked. Putting your hand on your mouth, you started sobbing. As you gripped your hair with both your hands, you thought, how could your blood-related uncle would want to kill you just for money? You felt needles in your chest. In the name of family, you only had your uncle, and it was shocking and heartbreaking for you to know that he never thought of you as a family. So if you look at it, I saved you from getting killed by your own uncle. He was right, but you couldn't think about anything else at the time other than that, how your family betrayed you. Seeing you cry, Jungkook wanted to comfort you, but he wasn't sure how would you react. He wanted to give you some time. He had these soft feelings for you and he couldn't believe he was feeling sad for someone. He never really cared about someone's tear, but seeing you cry, it made him feel bad. Standing up, he said, "I'll come back later." You lifted your head and looked at him with your eyes all red, filled with tears. "For what?" Your voice turned cold. "To talk to you." "Talk? Yeah, right." You scoffed in anger. "What's the matter with you?" He frowned. He was being as nice as he could. Me? Or nothing. Everything's perfect. My blood-related uncle tried to kill me for money. I'm kidnapped on my birthday and sold to a rich man whore because he wants a tie to play, you said sarcastically. His face twisted in rage as he reached closer to you, leaving you dumbfounded. Did you just call me man whore? Are you not? You said, trembling. Why did you kidnap me then? Isn't it because you wanted to sleep with me? With that, he pushed you on the bed and climbed on top of you. He gasped. Looking deep into your eyes, he said, I didn't even touch you. I haven't done anything like of a man whore yet, so don't provoke me because I might do it. You call it kidnapping? What do you think would have happened to you if I didn't have saved you? If I had denied him, he had hired someone else to kill you. He did save your life, but you were sure he did it for himself? Moving his face closer to yours, making you gulp each second, his lips reached your ears, and he uttered in a thin voice, I think you need some time to clear your head. I'll come back later. You were just lying there on the bed froze when he stood up. Fixing his shirt, he left the room. You breathed a sigh of relief, placing your hand on your chest. Your heart was beating like a drum. After a while, someone knocked on the door while you were sitting on your bed, hugging your knees. You raised your head to look, then a lady opened the door and entered in the room with a food trolley. Hello, I'm Soya. I'll be serving you from now on. She walked towards you with the trolley. You can tell me if you need anything. You were just looking at her, perplexed. How can someone be fine with something like this? She must know that person kidnapped me. She is acting so normal, you thought. Well, people are just hungry for money. What else matters to them? You must be hungry, so what would you like to eat? She asked, showing you many dishes on the trolley. Or maybe I'm judging her wrong. If she is working as an attendant, she must be poor and that person is definitely powerful. Miss Lady, she noticed you were lost in the thought. You didn't respond. Miss Lady, she said again, making you flinch. What would you like to eat? I don't want to eat anything. I just want to go back. I'm kidnapped and brought here illegally. This is a crime what that person is doing, you said, frustrated. I'm just ordered to serve you. She lowered her head. Can you help me, please? You asked to her, holding her hands, pleading with your eyes. She scoffed nervously. There was fear in her eyes. I'm sorry, I don't think I can. I don't want to die, she stammered. I won't let you die, I promise. You tightened your grip on her hands. She sighed nervously. What can you even do? He's a mafia, she said, leaving you stunned. Your grip loosened from her hands, eyes widened. He's a mafia, you thought. That is why he is so fearless. The expression on your face scared her as she spoke. You didn't know? She started trembling. Please don't tell him that I told you, she pleaded. I was told that you're special for boss and I have to serve you. I thought you must be knowing he was a mafia. I was not supposed to tell you this, I think. Sweat formed on her forehead. You were stunned, yet it started making sense. He wasn't afraid of anything, and he sure was powerful. You looked at Soya's face, sweating in fear. I won't tell him. She breathed a sigh of relief, smiling, but still trembling. You were terrified of finding out that he was a mafia. There weren't any chances for you to escape from a mafia. What would you eat? With a helpless sigh, you replied, Do you really think I want to eat something? Take it back. But I'm told to take care of you. But I don't want to eat. At least eat. Will you just take it back? You shouted, frustrated. You sighed, looking at her. You felt bad shouting at her. It wasn't her fault. At that very moment, someone entered in the room. It was no one other than Jungkook. He walked towards you, standing next to Soya. He spoke. You haven't eaten anything since morning. If you'll not eat, you'll die. Do you know that? It's better to die than live like this, you mumbled. Oh really, he said. Then he grabbed you by your wrist and dragged you with him. What are you doing? He took you on the terrace and made you stand on the edge, still gripping on your wrist. What are you doing? You asked, breathing rapidly. You couldn't look down, it was so high and you were afraid of heights. He was so close to you and just in the blink of an eye he pushed you but didn't let go of your hand. Half of your body was in the air, feet on the edge of the terrace. He was holding your hand tightly. Are you crazy? Didn't you say you wanna die? You were panting, trembling. You gripped on his hand with your other hand. I don't wanna die. Pull me back. But you just said that you wanted to. Should I let go of your hand? He smirked and then pulled you onto him, your hand on his shoulder, his eyes on you, your eyes on him. The warmth of his body felt so safe after being terrified of death. Dying is not easy, it's just easy to say. If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't have saved you. Life has given you another chance. Appreciate it and be grateful. You kept staring at him. What he was saying was somewhat true. He did save you from being dead and you didn't want to die. Why would you die because of people who didn't even care about you? Today was a bad day for you. Tomorrow will be better. If you want to go back, I will not stop you, but tell me, where will you go? To your uncle who wants you dead? Who will you go for? People who don't care about you but only your money? Letting out a sigh of sadness, he uttered, I don't know. Stay here, I'm not a monster who'd eat you. Releasing you, he walked backwards. I know you're not helpless, but aren't you alone now? Your eyes stuck on him, feeling every word he was saying. This another chance of staying alive that life has given you. Think of it as your birthday gift. After saying that, he left, leaving you puzzled. You were still standing there froze. Isn't he right? You thought. How can a stranger feel like family, and my own family turned out to be my worst enemies? He made you feel so safe, as if nothing would ever happen to you around him. Meanwhile, Jungkook entered in his room and let out a deep breath he was holding. For the first time in my life, I'm having these different feelings for a woman. I'm feeling nervous around her. He smirked as he thought. What is it about her? Her beauty or what? He scoffed, walking to his bed. What am I doing? He thought. What I even want from her? Licking his lower lip, he smirked. Is beauty becoming my weakness now? It was never a problem, but there's something about her. He was confused why he was so nice to you when in reality he was not a nice person. What should I do? Should I give her time? He breathed a heavy sigh. She must hate me now because I kidnapped her, but why don't she understand she would have died? He sighed. I think I should give her some time. He didn't want to force you for anything and wanted to give you time to accept everything. 2 months later. Meantime, Jungkook used to be mostly busy with his work. He would still come to you to know if you were okay. You also realized Jungkook saved your life no matter what the reason was. It was because of him you were still alive. He could have denied and your uncle would have hired someone else to kill you. So you didn't have any hard feelings for Jungkook. Instead, you started feeling different for him. He didn't do anything wrong to you, which you were assuming he would do since he kidnapped you. He didn't force you for anything, and it all just made you feel differently for him, maybe romantically. He was really nice to you and he cared a lot about you. You couldn't help falling for him. You were now also friends with Soya. You were glad she was there with you, otherwise you would have really felt alone. Jungkook did think about everything. He cared a lot about you. He made a new life for you, did everything he could possibly do to feel comfortable. You were grateful for it. But there was still a question in your mind. What am I to him? You thought, sitting on your bed. Why does he never say it if he feels something? He told me he was my man. Did he forget that? Or he just pitied me? What are you thinking about? With a heavy sigh, you looked at her. You know, the day when he brought me here, that was the first and last time he said I was pretty. She scoffed. She was aware of your feelings for Jungkook had changed, and in fact, you used to think a lot about him. You tell me, why do you think he's keeping me here? It's because he feels bad for me? Boss, feeling bad for someone? She chuckled. As much as I have heard about him, he don't really care about other people. But in your case, not only cares about you, I'm sure he thinks of you special. And I've told you this before too. Stop thinking he pities you. I think he likes you. Likes me, you said. The day he brought me here, that was the only day he said something like, I'm your man, you're pretty. After that, he never said anything like this. So how can you say I'm special for him? You added. Maybe it's his way of loving. Yeah, right, you mocked. She chuckled. You took a deep breath and got up from the bed. What happened? I'll go and ask him. I want answered. You shrugged. You're not allowed to go out of your room in the night, so you can go right now. Why can't I go? I will, you said, walking towards the door. Why don't put me in trouble. You left before she could reach you. Meanwhile, Jungkook was sitting in the living room opposite to a tall, pretty lady who was wearing navy blue single-breasted blazer on top of white with navy blue pants, hair down, high heels. They were discussing something important. After a while, when Jungkook was checking something on his phone, the lady got up from her seat and sat beside Jungkook on the sofa and crossed her legs, placing her hand on Jungkook's chest. She caressed his collars. "What are you doing?" he asked calmly. "Don't you want a favor from me?" He smirked and then removed her hands from his chest. Displeasure crossed her face. "Do you want to die? Did you come here drunk? Why are you so cold? I've been working for you so long. Don't you think we are good together? Come on, don't you want to have some fun?" she said, moving more closer to him, placing her hand on his thigh. "Are you out of your mind?" He was being very calm and patient. He didn't care about what she was doing, but he wasn't interested at all. At that very moment, you entered in the living room and saw the lady so close to Jungkook, her hand on his thigh, his eyes on her. You felt like someone put a dagger through your heart as tears stung your eyes. Meanwhile, Jungkook was about to push her back when his gaze fell on you. You turned around and ran towards your room. Jungkook pushed that woman away and followed you. You entered in your room crying. Soya looked at you. She got worried. "Bayan, what happened?" At that very moment, Jungkook walked in, breathing rapidly. Soya looked at him. "Leave us alone for a moment," he said to Soya. She bowed her head and left the room. You had covered your face with your hands, tears coursing down your cheeks when he approached you, placing his hand on your shoulder. You pushed back his hand. "At first, I was right about you," you said, crying. "Lately, I started to think you were a good person, but thanks for breaking my bubble." "What are you talking about?" he said. "You're misunderstanding the whole situation. If you'd watched a little longer, you would have known. That woman was about to sit in your lap. Should I have waited for that moment? No, you're mistaken. Am I?" Tears rolled down your cheeks and checked. He couldn't believe how you were crying so much. He didn't know how he should explain. He got really puzzled seeing you cry. It messed his brain. He couldn't think of anything. He just couldn't look at you crying. That too because of him. "Can you please stop crying first?" he said, placing his hand on your cheek. His heart ached seeing you cry. He realized how much he cared about you. You pushed back his hand angrily and roared. "You made me believe I deserved happiness. You gave me hope when I was broken. You told me you were my man. Do you know what that means? Or you just said it for fun? You told me you weren't a man whore. Then the F was that? What are you doing with me? I'm so confused. What do you even want from me? You made me fall for you and then decided to show your true colors. You finally confessed your feelings, but you did not accept that. How you would say that in such situation?" Listening to that, he couldn't hold himself. He gripped on your face, pulled you closer, and pressed his lips on yours. His eyes turned red. You tried to push him away, but he was too strong. You again tried with all your strength and pushed him, hitting on his chest. You released your mouth and moved back. "Are you not satisfied with that woman? You need more than one?" "Bayan," he said, breathing heavily. "I remember everything and I didn't say it for fun. I did feel something when I saw you and I wanted you to stay in my house. I wanted you to stay around. I wanted to make you mine. I love you so much. Gradually, my feelings grew stronger for you. I just didn't want to force you for anything. Jungkook, I wanted to give you time to decide whatever you would think was right. Right now, I'm crazy about you. Why would I even think of another woman? I didn't know you liked me too," he said, leaving you dumbfounded. You were just staring at him in perplexity. You couldn't understand what should you believe and what not, but you really wanted to believe him. "You're really mistaken. She was coming on me. Trust me, I wasn't interested at all. I have cameras in my living room. If you want to see, I can show you. Come," he said as he gripped on your wrist. "Wait." You pulled back your hand. He realized he wouldn't lie. It could be true. If he was ready to show you CCTV footages, then why would he lie? He was looking at you absently. With a heavy sigh, he said, "I don't need to see. I trust you." He breathed a sigh of relief. You started feeling guilty for saying too much to him without knowing the whole truth. He confessed his feelings as well. "Bayan, I won't lie to you. What you saw, this happens often. Please trust me. I only love you." Since the day I had seen you, you're the only woman in my mind, my heart, he said, holding her hand. Those were the most beautiful words, and it was all you were waiting to hear. You didn't know he loved you so much, but the way he used to treat you so special, it sure was something, and now you realized it was love. I'm sorry, I said too much to you. You lowered your eyes. It's okay. Maybe I haven't done much for you to trust me, so it's understandable. No, you have done a lot. I still didn't trust you. Walking closer to you, he asked, do you now? You stared at him for a moment. Yes, you said, smiling. You don't know how much I waited for this day to come. The day when I would tell you about my feelings for you. I never felt this for anyone else in my life. You smiled widely. He softly gripped on your waist and pulled you closer to him. I love you, he said. When I said I was your man, I meant it, and you're only my woman. You were blushing while he was saying all that. You couldn't be happier. I love you too. Your eyes were on him, he's on you, when he softly pressed his lips on yours and started kissing you. Feeling his firm, warm lips on yours, you felt shivers in your body, and then you kissed him back. Your lips parting, your eyes opened. He was looking at your face, his eyes full of love. You gave him a smile. Then again his lips touched yours in an intense kiss, his hands caressing your back. You felt a rush running through your veins, feeling his touch.